Test, 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 test.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to beautiful Lucerne, Switzerland, where the weather is not so beautiful today, but we are excited to be here nevertheless because we have the 2023 STIHL Newcomers Cup happening today, and then later on in the day, we will have the STIHL Timbersports Pro Men on stage. Before I get going, my name is Troy Mannering, and I have a special guest with me today as my expert. But before we introduce her, let's take a look at why she is our expert. Jolanda Gnadinger took part in the women's competition yesterday, ripping it up against a fantastic list of competitors. There we could see her husband Pierman helping her out on the single buck, and she ended up taking second place in the competition yesterday, but because that second place was to a non-Swiss competitor, that means you are now officially the Swiss women's national champion. Fantastic to have you here on the deck with me today, Yolanda. Thanks very much for joining us. And, of course, congratulations for a fantastic run yesterday. Actually tied in points with our top competitor from yesterday from Norway, correct?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even know that it was tied at first. So it was an awesome day, and I'm glad to be here.
That looked like a really good underhand chop. You were satisfied with that cut, right?
Definitely anything under a minute, I'm happy with.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day, and there you go. Top spot for our Swiss women. And you were mentioning to me earlier that you really love the level of competition that's coming up now. It's a lot more fun. You've got to really put a lot of effort into the competition in order to be able to be there on that top position, and that makes it just a lot better for you, correct?
That's right. It's awesome to see so many women in the sport.
Yeah, and it's something that we're seeing a lot of, and hopefully we're going to see a lot more of down the road in the future. In the meantime, though, we do have a bunch of newcomers, which is a mix of intermediate and rookie athletes. Today we have 12 athletes in total on stage. 2 will be joining us from France, as well as all of our Swiss competitors. And this is a chance for us to see all of the fresh faces and the guys that are going to be taking part in events down the road. And of course, the important folks on deck, Andrew Hall, our judge for today on stage, along with Ruud Meyer. He is our other judge on stage to make sure that all the action happening up there is fair and square. And you can hear in the background, there's Benny Fish, excuse me. He'll be taking care of things on stage for our live audience as our live moderator. And of course, our competition control center, as always, operated by Schul Janssen there, and Nout van Meyer over to his far left. The competition control center, a very important aspect of STIHL Timbersports, making sure that all of the times are absolutely fair. Correct, Yolanda?
That's right. That is so important that is correct, because we want a fair race.
All right, so let's bring out our competitors. First, coming up from France, Nathan Semillon. And our other French competitor, Vincent Roussel. These 2 guys looking to make a mark in timber sports, representing France. And this is a nice thing about these intermediate and rookie competitions. You'll often get it mixed up with different countries participating. There's Simon Farner. And then coming up on stage just after him, Tim Fiederle. I hope I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then Jeffrey Hübscher. He's got a cute last name. Oh, our German fans out there will understand that joke. Albert Kläger. Then we have Stefan Scheuch. And then Dominic Gigax coming up onto the stage now. Talking with him a little bit in the hotel yesterday. Then we have Florian Motier. Louis Guigné coming up on stage now, and then following him we will have Romain Berthollet, and finally our last competitor up on stage will be Sean Usch. So there we have our 12 competitors that will be competing in the springboard, stock saw, standing block chop, single buck, and the underhand chop. 5 disciplines today. The only one that's missing is the hot saw, and that's something that happens only with the pros. Correct, Yolanda?
Yeah, that's right. So they have to do all these events first, these disciplines, and work their way up to the
monster saw.
Yes.
All right, so there we have our list of competitors. We have our competition control center judges. We have our stage judges, and everything is set to go. The only thing we need to do is find out about our competition format. Let's take a look at that right now. Okay. So we're going to come back here first and talk a little bit about this competition. As the stage clears up, we'll take a quick look at the competition format shortly. Any favorites for you in this group of guys? I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I mean, you have a better knowledge of these guys than I do at this point.
The thing is, a lot of them are very good, and it can be just about anyone. So it's really hard to tell at the moment who's going to succeed and take that first place.
The diplomatic answer. But it's a tough one, really it is, because there are so many excellent athletes here competing today, and it's anybody's game, and it's all to play for as we get going with our competition here. And I think we do have the competition format. We'll give you that lowdown shortly here. I'm just waiting for confirmation from our director if that's going to come on screen here, and here we go. So the STIHL Timbersports Newcomer competition format is as follows. All the athletes compete against each other in 5 disciplines, provided they have safety clearance for the respective disciplines. In specifically speaking, that's the Springboard. The maximum number of points awarded for each discipline depends on the number of athletes taking part. The first discipline is Springboard with 1 single board. Then we have the fastest athletes receiving the points equal to the total number of participating athletes, except for 1 point for last place in each discipline. There are no points for disqualification. In the second discipline, the participants will compete in stock saw. The third discipline is the standing block chop. The fourth is the single buck. And the last discipline, the underhand chop, at which point we will find out who has the fastest times on the day. These are not elimination heats, so you'll see 2 athletes on stage competing against each other, but they do not get eliminated in this point. They are only vying for the fastest possible time on stage. Now, we are starting with a fairly traditional format here, with the Springboard being the first discipline up. And normally we're seeing the Springboard later on in the competition. But the Springboard with a single board is a nice way for the intermediate and the rookie athletes to get introduced to one of the most difficult disciplines. Talk us through a little bit why this discipline is so hairy for so many athletes.
It takes so much for this discipline. The Springboard, you need balance, you need coordination. It has to all work out up here in your head.
So we know that the perfect pocket cut is 4 hits. Put the board in and get working on the top. This is a really crucial point that we talk about a lot during the Springboard competition, is getting a quick pocket and getting that board in place. Now, sometimes we see the board in at a fairly steep angle, sometimes we see it a bit flatter, and sometimes we see it sagging. The drawback to a sagging board is you have to choke up on the axe and step closer to the block to cut, right? What happens there?
So when it sags, there's a chance that you could slip off, and you can't get your next pocket once you do your second pocket or your chop properly in the place you want it.
So you want to have that board with as flat as possible or a little bit of up so that you can step back on the board and use the power of the full axe and your whole body. Okay, so it's a lot to play for here, a lot to think about for our first discipline in the single buck, the Springboard. That would be interesting, single buck on top of a Springboard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, there's a new format altogether. Come on, let's go bananas. And it looks like we are getting our first heat ready on stage shortly.
Let's check out the clip.
Oh, right, we have the clip.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Up onto the Springboard to chop a 27 centimeter wooden block from both sides at the top of the log.
All right, so there you go. I completely missed the call on the discipline and tool, but here we look at our Springboard heats now. We are missing an athlete, so it is actually 11 athletes. So it will be Romain Bertollet going alone on stage to start our competition off, and this is something that we're going to see all competition long because we in fact only have 11 athletes. That was my bad. We do not have 12, so that's a bit of a rough situation for him because he's got to start the competition off alone on stage with nobody else up there to push him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares here and what kind of times we're looking at. Now, there is a time limit for the one-board Springboard. What is that? I believe it's like 2 minutes? Or could it be a little bit shorter for one board?
I think it's 1:30.
1:30. Okay, so these guys do have 1:30 in order to cut that. and get it done after that time, they will be disqualified. So let's see how Romain does here. Now again, remember, you want to have a good, quick first pocket and then go for it. Bit of nervousness there.
That's right. It is quite nerve-wracking when you're the only one on stage.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, Romain getting going.
So that pocket, that first one, is crucial to get that right. You want a deep pocket there, especially since they are actually chopping on that. So once you're by the pros and have 2 pockets, the first one isn't that crucial. It's just get it in there, get up on your second board. But this one has to hold.
Yeah, this is an important fact here, obviously, and now he's got himself up on, and just a quick balance check to make sure that he has everything good to go on that top block. Now you can see he's actually standing quite far forward on the board. He almost feels to me like he doesn't have the confidence to step back on the board, although the board did look pretty good from my perspective.
Yeah, it looks like a good board, but yeah, I think nerves and all that play in effect here, so he stands a little closer. It does look like it might, yeah,
oh, wow,
it
is sagging.
Yes,
okay, I missed that
sagging,
completely
yeah.
from the camera angle.
So you can see he's also shortened up on his axe so that he can get closer to that block, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to really chop.
All right, hitting the 1:06 here. Now he's got to get as deep as possible on that first side because the block does need to be cut from both sides. I'm noticing that the whole stand seems to be shaking a little bit as well. That takes away some of the power with each driver, correct?
That is so, yes. So they try to do their best to make it as stable as possible, but depending on how the block is put in, it can vibrate a bit with every hit.
All right, I think our timeout might be longer than anticipated. I think we're looking at probably 2 minutes for the single board here. So he's got to be really careful too. You can see he's kind of wrenching that axe as he pulls it out. That's not a problem here because he's chopping chips out. But once he gets cutting to the other side, he's got to be careful not to wrench that axe and break the block off, correct? It needs to be cut through from both sides.
That is correct. They will take a look at that block once it's down to see if you can see anything that has been ripped out. And of course, in the video trailer, they're also checking that the whole time.
Yeah, and that's a really... It's a rough board, and it is confirmed it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds for the timeout, so he's got 10 seconds more to get it done, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen for Romain here, but this is the experience that's important for these guys to gain here, is to make sure that they do get as much time in this discipline, because, like you mentioned, it's super, super difficult with so many things factoring in. So that's going to be our first official DQ of the day. Romain Berthollet getting a DQ because of a time exceeded.
Okay, so we have a disqualification for exceeding the time limit.
So he's definitely not happy with that, but that's how that works, sadly. Some days you win, some days you don't.
Yep. Let's take a look back here at this pocket. Now, it looked like he was doing an okay job with the pocket. I think I counted 8 hits to get in there. And right here, the tooth of that springboard just didn't really grip, did it?
No, so he did mark it a little bit lower and chopped his pocket a bit too high. And that already, as soon as you don't hit your lines, it starts going with the nerves. So if you can control that, then you'd be fine. But he already gone into the area where there's still a little bit of bark on the tree. So then you're thinking, oh, is my axe still good? Has anything happened there? There's so many things going through your head at that point.
All right, so a super finicky discipline, and we started things off with a disqualification. We don't like to see those. Always like to see best times or improvements in the personal time, even if we might look at that and go, it's not such a fast time. Any athlete will take an improvement in their time every single time, right? All right, our next heat coming up, Louis Guignier against Florian Motier. So we have our first pairing on stage, and you can see by the tail of the tape, both of these guys looking to get their first times in the books for Springboard. And you can see the markings there. Got to keep control of that axe.
So these guys, they train together. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a kind of competition in their own club as well.
Ah, a little bit
A
of
little
internal
duel.
rivalry. Nice, I like it. Now that's a different marking that he's got on there. Now why has he got it marked that way? Is it that first driver that he wants to get it that way?
Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Athletes,
that can
ready.
be.
Stand
Everybody has
to
marked it
your
as
timber.
they wish, however it works for
3,
them.
2, 1, go!
So just passing 6 hits, 7 hits now for their pockets. Neither guy is looking like they're getting close to it, and now we're getting 10 hits. Now this is what you absolutely don't want to have here, is that many hits to try and place a pocket, because that kills your time. So you want to get it as quickly as you possibly can. Both of these guys well past the 12, 14 hits. Motier going to be the first to set his board. Let's see how that board looks when he puts a little bit of weight on it. A bit of sag there. That's not feeling good for him, but Guigné has a pretty good board there, and he's starting on that top block.
Yeah, so rather take your time, do those couple extra hits to get that pocket right, because it costs you a lot more time if you have to get back down.
Yeah. Motier still working on getting that pocket cleaned out and cut. Meanwhile, Guigné is up on top of his block, chipping out quite nicely there. He's got a halfway decent board that looks pretty much even with the ground, so a parallel board is a good thing. And he can step back once that confidence level is up even more. He can step back even farther and use his whole body and twist those hips to really apply power to the hits. You can see a couple of those hits from Motier bouncing off. Now, we talked about this before often, the angle of the cut that's going in. If you're hitting straight, you're not getting a good clean cut. You're not cutting the wood out. Why is that? Because it's a sharp axe. Can you explain that to us a bit?
It is, but just because the wood is so hard, it just literally bounces right back off. So you want to have that angle. You need the right angle to cut as much wood as possible. Even just a little bit of an angle is not enough. Got to hit that sweet spot.
And finding that sweet spot takes a heck of a lot of training. And that's one of the things that these guys are all about, is getting a lot of training in behind them to make sure that they're really on point for these events. Motier Guigné going at it here. And this internal competition is coming close to a timeout now. This would be an unfortunate situation to see the whole group go down in disqualifications, but it looks like Guigné might be getting close. He's got to really work on that backside now. He's got 2 seconds, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Both of them have DQs for exceeding the time limit, and that is a bummer. Oh, man, I hate to see that.
Yeah, so close, but it's so far. But that give them that push to get back, train harder, and make sure for the next competition that doesn't happen.
How many of these guys, and I don't know if you and Pierman are doing it, but how many of these guys are taking video of these particular events and looking at that video and seeing how they could make improvements there?
I'd say probably about half of them will take a video.
Okay, both
A lot of them will
competitors
watch like a live
disqualified for
stream like
exceeding the
this
time limit.
repeatedly and see their chop.
All right, a couple of guys from the same team. And it looks like Guigné wants that block down so that he can analyze that.
You can see Coach Christoph on there as well, bringing the next springboards up for the next guy. But yeah, a lot of the times at the clubs, they watch each other and give each other tips.
All right, and you can see there's a lot of work going into getting those pockets set. Now that's a massive pocket right there for Motier, or Guigné, I think it was. No, it's Motier on the right-hand side of our stage. And you can see that metal tooth at the front there really needs to hook in properly.
You have to make sure that you don't have a step in it. So you can see right there on the left, he's got a little bit of a step in it. That is a big issue, because once you put that board in, that can break out, and that is what causes you to literally drop.
And this is also playing a part in the, or a role that plays a part in that, is the accuracy of your hit. So you really need to be clean with every single hit as you drive in to cut those pockets, and that's why those steps are there. It's because they're cutting new wood each time, correct?
That's right. You want to really hit your lines and be right on without any steps.
All right, well, we've had our first couple of heats done and dusted here. Unfortunately, 3 DQs because of exceeding the time limit, excuse me. So hopefully things will improve for these athletes as we go along. The stage is being reset by our fantastic stage crew. And one thing that we do say very often here with this particular sport is it's the original extreme sport. And why we say that, let's take a look at why it is called the original extreme sport with this clip right now.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the most that gets it.
This is IMO Evo. Cuts perfectly and looks after your lawn for you. Take control of your garden. Perfect lawn, intelligent mowing. The next generation IMO, only from approved STIHL dealers or online.
All right, so getting ready on stage still as the crew sets up for our next set of heats. 2 more heats to come, and this Springboard. And we'll take a look at our next 2 athletes. It's going to be Dominic Gigax.
Gigax.
Oh, always messing that up. Dominic Gigax going up against Stefan Scheuch. At least I got Stefan's name right this time.
That's right.
We've been murdering names all season long. It doesn't matter if they're from France, Germany, Austria, Norway. The Norwegians were particularly fun. But you could see on our screen just over my shoulder there, you could see the work being done to set the blocks up on stage to make sure that we have everything ready to go for our next set of heats. So a fantastic stage crew, as always, doing the job. It is also the responsibility of the athlete to put the block up on top and secure it in place, correct?
That is correct. You got to make sure that it holds. Just can't set it there and think, somebody else is going to do it, because you want to make sure it's at that perfect spot, depending on how big your tree is. You want it a little bit more to one side than the other.
So something else you might see, and if our viewers out there are paying close attention, you'll see that there are nails hammered into the top of the block and then bent over. Now, that has a specific purpose. It's not just for looks.
No, that is for the slabbing rules. So that means by your first hit that it doesn't take the whole piece of wood off, because that means when you do your next down hit, you have
less material.
Yeah, so you have a better chance
advantage
than the other guy. So this way it's fair for everyone.
So there we see Dominic Gigax and Stefan Scheuch with the shadowy mystery picture on the side there.
So these are our 2 intermediate guys.
Okay. Now the intermediate just means that they're older than the oldest rookie allowed, so 25 and older.
25 and older.
But they don't have the experience to be basically set as a pro.
That's right. They haven't had all the events yet. Haven't
gentlemen.
qualified themselves.
Athletes, ready!
Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So I know they've both been training very hard. They are going to give it their all, and you can see their pockets are probably a little more exact than by the rookies. Even though both of these guys are new athletes, they haven't been chopping very long.
So Scheuch is already up on the top of his springboard and working. That looks like a pretty nice board. Gigax is now sitting his board in place, and let's see if he feels confident with that. Once he gets a little bit of weight on there, oh, he doesn't like it. He's putting that board back down. He's going to get back in there and work that pocket. Meanwhile, Stefan Scheuch on top of his block looking good. Now you can see his hand position is also farther down on the axe handle, so he's able to apply a little bit more power into those drivers.
That's right. So you can see Gigax, he's got a couple of steps in there. We'll see if that holds, if he'll be happy with that board.
Got a bit of house cleaning to do there before he got up on board.
Yeah.
So now he can get going, but he's in a little bit of trouble as far as the time. It took him nearly a minute and a few seconds to get that pocket set, so he is well behind the gun here. Meanwhile, Stefan Scheuch has switched it to the offside and will cut through there, and he should be able to get there in under 2 minutes. He's pretty close.
He's been doing a lot of training, so I think he will. Yep. There we go.
Hey, there we go. Oh, look at that. Do we actually have a world record? It shows as a world record there, 127.34. Wow. I'm not sure about that, though, to be honest with you.
Let's wait that up, but if it is, he'll definitely be happy with that.
Yeah, we're going to double check that because sometimes that will come up on our screen and then we get a bit of a surprise. Meanwhile, Dominic Gigax still trying to work on his, and his board has started to sag big time. Now you can see he's had to step well forward on the board and choke up a bit on that axe, so he doesn't have the power. He's in a bit of trouble here as he just rounds out to the 2-minute mark. He's got 30 seconds to get a lot of wood out of the way.
That's right. You can see that his lines, because he's sagging, he's a little bit lower than he usually would be, so he can't really follow his lines either. That means his face that he's opening is getting smaller, which makes it then more difficult on the other side for him to chop that block off.
Yeah, and he's not really getting those accurate cuts that we saw him start off with on the pocket. So you got a bit of salad up there, I like to call it, you know, those steps, as you say. So Dominic, unfortunately, he's got himself a disqualification here, but it has been confirmed we do have a world record with a time of 126.92 for Stefan Scheuch in the intermediate class.
So we have a
He's going to be so happy
on
with that.
stand one for exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
And that confirms that Stefan Scheuch is the new world record holder for the single board springboard. And that's a fantastic thing to see here, especially since we've had so many DQs up till this point.
That's right.
Look at the smile on his face. I wonder if he realizes that he's got a world record, though.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think he'd be hopping off the stage. So let's look at this again. So what I saw was Stefan Scheuch had maybe 6 hits to get that pocket set, and then he got to work up top.
Yeah, so you just see Gigax's, he did his pocket a little bit not too small. It wasn't wide enough, and he would have had to hit the axe in a little bit harder to get deeper.
Mm-hmm. He's got the power, he just needs the accuracy there to get those cuts nice and clean, that's for sure.
That's right. See, in there now he went a little bit too high, so it just, and that works with your nerves.
That was a great shot from one of our 2 Maxes on camera up on stage. And there's that final driver from Stefan Scheuch that gets him the world record. That's fantastic. I love to see that. It's a bit unfortunate, this saggy board here for Dominic Gigax. And we could see basically from positions 2 all the way down to 6. Actually, the first 5 heats were essentially DQs here. And the only guy with a time so far is Stefan Scheuch as we get our next heat coming up on stage. And our first Frenchman in the mix, Vincent Roussel, going up against Albert Kläger. 17 years old, Albert Kläger. I believe he is probably the youngest athlete this weekend, or is there somebody that's younger than him?
There is one guy that's younger. I think it's Tim, if I'm correct.
That's absolutely right, Yolanda. 16 years old. Memory of an elephant. Nice. Yeah, nevertheless, 16, 17 years old in this kind of a competition.
Okay,
These
gentlemen.
tools, that's an incredible feat.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So this is going to be an interesting duel between these two. So Vincent Roussel is a little bit more experienced, been doing the sport a little bit longer than Albert Kläger.
We also heard that our other French athlete, Nathan Similion, was questionable whether or not he would be able to compete in the springboard, but it turned out that he did qualify. Now look at that board from Roussel. That is a massive angle right there. If he steps down on there and it bites in cleanly, oh no, but he's sagging quickly here. He's going to have to go down and reset that board. And meanwhile, Kläger is on top and working that block at the top there. And we have seen some fantastic athletes who are very, very young go through the ranks in the last couple of years. And this is something that is really encouraging for the sport and for the future of the sport.
That's right. That's what's going to keep the sport alive, is these young guys coming up. Look at those hard hits. He's really using his entire body. He could stand back a little bit farther if he wanted on that board.
So Kläger moving over to the other side. This is looking very good for him as well. He's going to have himself a pretty decent time, I would say, if he gets through there. It's wiggling and waggling. He's almost there. You can see it. Oh, it's a good one. That's a personal best for...
Oh, he's going to be happy with that.
Albert Kläger. Yeah, he's going to be super happy with that. That's great. 1:42.97. This is, of course, an unofficial time. More often than not, what we see is we see those times improve a little bit once the Competition Control Center has checked the final details of when the axe actually cut through the block. Meanwhile, Vincent Roussel struggling to get through there. He's got 20 more seconds to get the rest of that wood out of the way and cut through from the second side. The question is, does he have enough in him to be able to do? Quick check at the time there.
Oh.
It's going to be really close. He's got to be powerful on the backside. All right, unfortunately for Vincent, it is going to be a disqualification because of the exceeded time limit. And this is something we're seeing across the board here today. We have actually only 2 times in the books. That's Stefan Scheuch and Albert Kläger. Albert Kläger with the personal best of 1:42.72. Great job.
So we have a disqualification on stand 2. However, this cut is good.
All right, so the rain has sort of stopped a little bit, and we've got a good group of fans here. And we can see here as we look back at the drivers here, I think this is Vincent, and there we see Albert. He looked good.
Very good, yeah. He's a very strong little guy, strong and mighty.
And this is where he got up and started on his block at the top. Unfortunately for Vincent Roussel, this just didn't work out for him. He had that board sagging, and it just, it just didn't want to hold on.
No, he had to get back down, correct his pocket, and that just cost you a lot of time and nerves.
Oh, look at that, though. Beautiful final cut through. No risk of wrenching there at all.
No.
All right, so we're back in studio here, and we would like to introduce you to our brand new world record holder in the intermediate for a springboard, Stefan Scheuch. How does that feel?
Oh, fantastic.
That's a good cut.
Yeah.
So talk us through that cut that you just did there. Like, what was it that went perfect for you?
At first, the pocket was actually not perfect, but very well. And yeah, on the top, I felt really good. and yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, in the end, on the other side, it was a bit hard because I cut at the first side a little bit, not enough. But yeah, the other side was then great.
So world record, 12 points in the book so far. At this moment, after the first heat's done, you're leading. What's your expectations the rest of the way through? Like, how's your confidence going?
There are some more coming, really good ones actually. I know some of them, so yeah, we will see.
All right, let's take a look back at that world record run, and maybe you could talk us through that one more time. What was going through your head as you were cutting?
Yeah. So the first heat was really good actually, and the second one was a little bit too high, so I have to correct that one. But the wood is actually really good. And
that was 8 hits, thereabouts, yeah?
Yeah, because I had to correct them. But the Springboard is really good as well. And a fantastic axe, I have to say that.
Bit of a skip there.
Yeah, but no worries about that. Yeah, the wood chopped really nice.
You can see he's got that angle, so that worked out well.
But in the end, the wood started to move a little bit, so I had to turn a little bit too early actually, because I was scared that the block will fall down.
Yeah, so because you have to chop it from 2 sides.
Yeah.
Now this is always interesting for me because this is a really awkward looking situation here. How is it up there?
Oh, I was just concentrated, to be honest, and was just there with the wood, and yeah.
Now at that point when you held the axe up, did you know that, I mean, you obviously knew you had a good cut, but did you know that you had a world record?
No.
No idea. So you actually walked off stage without realizing that you had a world record, and somebody came over and said, hey, guess what? You've got a world record.
To be honest, you was the first person.
Nice. Glad I could do that. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, congratulations. Well done. And we wish you luck the rest of the way, everybody. There you go. World record holder for single board springboard here in Switzerland. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Congratulations.
Nicely. All right, guys, we're going to get back up on stage there as we get ready for our next set of heats coming up. And that is going to be Jeffrey Hübscher going up against our other Frenchman in the mix, Nathan Simeon. As you see, the stage is still being prepared. And if you look closely at that picture that you can see on the third stand over, what you were talking about, Yolanda, is that block is really far over on the top of the stand.
That's right. You need it as close to you as possible so that you can get those accurate hits.
All right, and there you see the world record for rookie is actually quite quick. That's unexpected.
That's Simon Grunwald. He's
well, okay, shocker.
he holds most of the rookie world records.
I think he actually established 5 world records this year for the rookies. So
that's right.
Pretty insane. The kid is a machine. All right, so there we see Jeffrey Hübscher getting ready. And we often see the athletes come up on stage with 2 axes. There is a reason behind that. It's not just because they want to show off their axes, right?
It's for looks. No. No, you have 2 axes in case something happens with one. It can break, you can get hit or not, and it get damaged. So it won't come as a ball anymore, so you might want to switch it.
Athletes, ready!
Many different reasons.
To your timber.
So it seems like Hübscher or Simeon has a fan club because we just saw a stream of people run up to the gate there to watch this heat. So let's see how this goes between these two. And it was Nathan Simeon that we weren't sure would be able to participate. We heard that he didn't qualify for or he didn't have the right standards for the springboard, but obviously they believe that he did. And meanwhile, Hübscher setting his pocket still. There's a lot of work going on, little taps to get it cleaned up. And now Jeffrey Hübscher sets his springboard. Is it going to hold in place? Looks pretty good.
It's a deep, nice pocket.
Little bit of sag. Yeah, but not much though. It's not too bad. He seems pretty confident with the way it feels under his feet, and he's going for it on the board as Nathan Similion gets up on his.
So you can see with Jeffrey, he's got some really nice strong hits. He's going to be through that block fairly quickly.
Yeah, and that sag in his board doesn't seem to be bothering him at all. He's got his back foot in the middle of the scratch pad at the back, and that's a really nice board from Nathan Similion, yeah?
Yes, he's got a nice position there.
That's a bit of salad right there for Jeffrey Hübscher, though. Holy moly.
There, it doesn't need to look pretty. It just, you got to get it done. It's got to be open far enough so that once you switch that you can really chop that block off.
Yeah, he's got a lot of support from outside as well. There's a whole line of people standing right at the front fence there taking pictures as he switches over casually. That was a very casual switch over, eh? Just taking a deep breath, waves to the audience, you know, quick check of his axe, pulls up his pants, the whole bit.
So he's chopping a little bit too deep. You can see it's actually right in the straight line with his bottom line. You want to be up a little bit higher to make sure that you can chop that off nice. There you go.
There it goes, 153.23. Now, I don't know about that world record right there.
No, that can't be right.
That's, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes it will pop up on our screen as a world record or a season's best, and those are things that we always have to double check. Now, we just saw Stefan Schoik with a 126.92, and the rookie world record from Simon Grunwald is much faster than 153.23. Nathan Similion doing his best to get those last 6 seconds and get through that block, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for the Frenchman. Unfortunately, we're going to see another DQ here. Oh, wait a minute. Rookie time is longer. Excuse me. So that time will count. Or? No, 2:30 is the rookie time. It should be a DQ there. I'm a little bit confused now because that time kept running. So I do believe we do have a DQ for Nathan Similion and Jeffrey Hübscher with a 153.23 personal best. He'll take that to the bank any day. Just waiting for Jeffrey to join Andy Hall on stage for the final call.
Okay, so we have a disqualification for exceeding the time limit. However, the cut is good.
All right, so Jeffrey Hübscher has a good cut and a personal best. No world record, unfortunately for him,
yes.
but fortunately for Stefan Schoik.
Yeah, so because we have intermediate and we have rookie, we have two different levels, two different world records with the two categories.
Let's take a look back here at those cuts. We could see Hübscher with that nice deep pocket, really concentrated. It's a lot of work to set this pocket. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, I think, more probably setting the pocket than it is actually getting up there and cutting the top block.
That's right. You train pockets all the time in normal training. You use your standing block to do pockets first and then switch over to the standing. But it's cool, collected calm in the training and not competition setting. So
now I know that Springboard isn't part of the women's competition, but do you still train the Springboard?
We've actually started this year. Everyone does it a little bit as they wish. It's not an official event here at the STIHL competition for the women. It is at some other competitions, so I did do my first one board this year.
Ah, cool. And how was it?
Definitely did not do the time limit, but it was awesome.
All right, so our last heat coming up here in Springboard is between Simon Farner and Sean Usch. So Sean Usch actually has a personal best of 134.90, and no matter what, barring a disqualification for Simon Farner, he will have a personal best today as long as he is within the time limit.
Because prep time is very important, getting your board set, making sure that it stays in its place. That's why they have the little baggies
Okay,
at the bottom
gentlemen.
of the board.
Athletes, ready.
Ready for that go.
Stand to your
Yeah, the
timber.
last thing you want to have is your board
3,
slipping away on
2,
you.
That's right.
You need to
Go.
reach down and grab it. So here we go. Simon Farner, Sean Usch, both working to get that pocket set. So I think the test is actually here for Simon Farner on the left-hand side of your screen to see how he does. Sean Usch already has a time that he can work with, and not satisfied with the way that tooth is biting in there. I think that's going to sag quite a bit for him, though, as he gets on.
He's a big guy. He's got a little bit of weight there with him, so
No, that's not holding.
he's going to redo that. Simon, I think there's a lot of nerves there. He has been training. He trains out of our club. But, yeah, it's on the big stage, it's always a little different.
Yeah, you got that adrenaline that you need to try and control, and the adrenaline can give you the shakes if you're not careful. So this is a little bit of a sketchy board by Sean Usch there, as it seems to have finally taken purchase in the pocket, but it doesn't really have that flat angle, as both of these guys have just passed the 1 minute mark, but Sean getting some nice big chips coming off of that block.
He is a strong guy, so he can use that to his advantage.
Yeah, but that strength is also going to wane as, you know, you could see he's had to step much closer to the block, and he's using most of his shoulders and upper body to cut that top block. And we saw Simon Farner, his board just came out, and he went down with it. Lucky that he was stable, as Sean Usch is cutting on the backside now. There, a big chunk came off, so he's got to be careful that he doesn't wrench this off at the top, because he does need to cut through from both sides. It's a tough situation right there. But Sean Usch has a time of 1:47.97. I don't see any reason for a DQ there. I mean, a big chip came off, but it was cut through clean.
So there's Simon back up, and he's going to give her all.
But at this point, there's, I think there's no chance.
No.
But, you know, this is the fighting attitude these guys have.
Yep.
Now, that's a great board right now.
That
if he had
would be
done that
awesome.
right off the bat, he would be in much better shape. But he's got 15 seconds to cut through that block. I mean, that's a world record cut through on a standing block, you know? It's going to be a tough one for Simon Farner, but this is great experience and a great chance to learn.
Indeed. And there we go. We have that whistle.
Yeah. At least he was casual about that, and he knew it. But this is the thing, right? I mean, we talk about this very often with the rookies. This is a learning experience, and this is how you gain that those little nuances that you need going into the next competitions.
For exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
All right, let's take a look back here. Now, that first cut from Simon was really steep, or is that just me?
Yeah, he keeps, he's got his staircase going. He just couldn't hit his lines. Where you see Sean Usch has a smaller window open there from his pocket, and it did not hold at first. He did have to make it a little bit deeper. With such big trees, you have to go a little bit deeper that you actually get into it and that board holds.
These are big, big stands. Hey, I mean, they're much bigger around than what we're normally seeing. Oh, yeah.
And that's why you see also the block at the top is really right set to them right at the edge, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to reach it, or the axe would catch on the tree at the bottom. There you go, how he slips down. Lucky that nothing happened.
But I love the fact that he was conscious enough not to throw the axe away. That's you know, that's a really important aspect, because this is an incredibly sharp tool.
That's right.
All right, so this is our first discipline. These rankings will also count for our overall ranking, and Stefan Schoik, with that world record in the intermediate category, is at the top of the rankings with a full 12 points. And then we have Albert Kleger sitting in second place with 11, Sean Usch
in third place with 10, and Jeffrey Hübscher in fourth place with 9. The rest of the guys, unfortunately, no points categorized for them because we have a long list of DQs because of exceeded time limits. But again, we keep harping on this, we keep reiterating this point. It's a learning experience. You got to get into the competition mode, and you got to see how you do and see how you can manage when the pressure is on.
That's right, and wood is a natural product. So it's either you got that block, it's perfect, we call it a melon, or it's hard.
Right, I forgot about that, I love that.
And you have to give it your all to be able to chop through that.
All right, so we do have our first heats done and dusted. So that is discipline number 1 out of the way. Now, we're going to take a look at our next discipline, and that is the stock saw, where we're using our first motor saw, and it's our first cutting discipline of the day. Let's take a look at the tool and discipline of our next one.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Okay, so now we do have a full list of athletes. It was one athlete that did not qualify for the Springboard, Florian Motier. So we will see him back in competition mode here as we get on to the stock saw. Dominik Gigax will be going up against Stefan Scheuch. Will Stefan do another world record?
Who knows?
Pressure's on the young man. So the world records there you see are 9:09 and 9:91. Man, those are fast. That is just insane. And our first heat will be coming up on stage here with Dominik and Stefan, who will be riding a confidence high moving on to this next discipline. Now, you cut this event yesterday, and you mentioned to me before we got going that the wood was so hard that you couldn't push down on the saw for fear that it would bog out and stall. Talk through a little bit about how important the feel for the saw is in this discipline.
So it's not as much the feel for the saw, it's the listening to the saw. When you're cutting, you gotta hear really closely, even though you have ear protection on, to know how much can I push. You can push a little bit, you see it, oh yeah, you're good to go. But then all of a sudden you can hear it, it's just that noise, it changes, and then you gotta, okay, leave off with the pressure, because if you bog out, then it goes to the nerves, you gotta lift that saw, you gotta get it turning again, gotta get up to the right speed. It just costs you so much time.
So this is really about technique more than it is about power. It's getting the accuracy of the start of the cut and the technique of how you're cutting through, yeah?
That's right, and that time for the changeover, and when you grab your saw, it's all those crucial little points that can get you that win.
All right, well, let's see how Dominik does against Stefan. These two guys obviously well-versed with a saw in hand.
So as you can see how they're doing their prep, either marking their lines, positioning of the saw, getting your feet positioned right.
So he actually does not, I was just reading the stats for Dominik, he doesn't have a personal best time here, so it'll be, if he gets 2 clean cookies on the deck, we'll have a personal best for him no matter what. I always think, yeah, I could cut this, no problem.
Stand to your timber.
All right, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, rough start there for Stefan Scheuch. He had to restart, but that's a nice thin cookie for Dominik Gigax. That first cookie was fantastic, and Scheuch is struggling on that second cut, and that's a great time for Dominik. 13.47, a massive set of problems for Stefan Scheuch, but still an 18.09, and he'll get a personal best as well, assuming that everything is okay with both of those cookies and no cut line.
Yeah, he did a second cut in. It might have been too close to the line. They'll take a look at that now.
Yeah, they're really, really particular about this particular event and those cookies, making sure that they have a complete disc on the deck.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Excellent. 2 personal bests.
All right, so there we go.
So what'll be interesting to see is, I think he shut his saw off. He forgot that he was allowed to keep it running.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it wasn't even on, huh?
Yeah. Guarantee you he'll never do that mistake again.
Yeah, when he got it into the cut, he had a nice clean cut, and then he was struggling on the transition from the down to the up. And right here, oh, you could see how close it was to the, you know, it almost looked like paper thin at the top of the cut for Dominic. And he just kept it inside the line there. So they only have 10 centimeters to make the cut. That's not a lot of space.
It definitely is not.
All right, but we have 2 personal bests, 2 official times, and we will go on to our next heat. Stage appears to be ready for Jeffrey Hübscher and Tim Fiedele. So here we have our youngest athlete in the field, Tim against the second youngest, Jeffrey. And it's clearly Jeffrey that's got the fan base in the audience, because there's a group of girls that run to the fence every time he's on stage.
So they're getting instruction a little bit there from the judges. This is first big competition, nerves. So it's really nice of the judges that they're helping them out there.
And I love those pads that have been instituted in the last, I think it's the last 4 or 5 years, they've started using those pads. Previously, the saws would just sit on the deck and they would hop away because they're running.
That's right.
All right, Jeffrey Hübscher needed to take off his sweatshirt because he wouldn't be allowed to wear that during the competition. There's a lot of details that go into this particular discipline, yeah?
That's right, but with the weather we've had today, it goes forgotten fairly quickly too.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saws.
There we go, that safety start, all the safety gear on. It's very important. Let's just say on in the right spot. Glasses on the head doesn't mean it's
Athlete,
have to be covering the eyes.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, very nice start. Wow, that is a massive cookie, though.
Definitely got to watch that changeover.
Hübscher's going to have to be really careful on that upcut.
Very nice.
That was a nice second thin cookie. The question is, did he cut over the line?
So
That first cookie was a monster.
Tim doing a third cookie. He must have had a
Either that or he thinks he's in the hot saw competition. So there we see Ruud Meijer checking underneath to make sure no cut lines. Andy Hall doing the very same thing.
Maybe we'll see the other cookie if that one wasn't complete.
I think we have a head nod there, so it might be good for both of these guys.
Okay, congratulations.
Yep.
Both cuts are good.
Excellent.
There we go. So 2 personal bests, and I think we're going to see personal bests not necessarily across the board here, but a lot of these guys haven't got that in the pocketbook yet. So this particular discipline. So we'll see how that goes. But this is a really nice start there from both of these guys. Jeffrey Hübscher with a massive cookie. Look at the size of that thing. That's like Rhode Island being cut in wood. Now he took a little bit of time to set on that upcut, but boy, is that paper thin or what?
Thin to win.
Thin to win.
Pah. Huge cookie.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking chocolate chip, that's okay, but not in timber sports. But he really needed to have a thin cookie, and man, that was, I mean, if he can cut cookies like that, say that 5 times fast, if he can do cookies like that on a regular basis, then he'll be flying through those blocks. Because it really is that if you have a very thick cookie, there's more drag on the chain and on the blade, correct?
Yes, it can be, yeah.
All right, so thin to win is definitely the way to go. Next heat coming up, Simon Farner up against Florian Motier. A lot of very bright jackets in the audience today as well. So we saw Simon struggling with the springboard earlier, but he had the nice bow to the audience afterwards because he knew, okay, it is what it is. He'll take that one to the bank as a learning experience. Let's see how he does with the motor saw in hand, this MS661 saw from STIHL. So in this discipline, they have to have the ear protection, they have to have eye protection, and they have to have the gaiters on, correct?
The pants, yeah. Either pants or chaps, whatever the athlete prefers.
Now that is a statement right there in those chaps from Florian. I would say camouflage, but I've never seen a cow in that color.
That warm-up, that is also very important. You want to get that saw going, getting it nice and hot and ready for your heat.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start from Simon. It's a bit of a thick cookie, but let's see how his transition is. There's Motier. He's got a thick second cookie. Hopefully he's not over the line, but that's a nice even cut from both of those guys. And 12:08 to 12:58 personal bests again. Hopefully we've got some good cuts. See, Simon's a bit of a character. I think I like this guy. Yeah?
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, good job. So we're seeing a little bit of movement here in our stock saw results. Simon Farner with the fastest time so far, an 11:94. And across the board, what I love to see are personal bests for every athlete thus far.
That's a good day.
Interesting, though, because I remember at the Rookie Academy, Hans-Ove Hansen was teaching the guys, and he says, don't step towards the saw after you've initiated your cut. And I just saw Simon do that. Is there a headspace that says, yeah, it makes sense to step into the cut?
You step into it once you're ready for the changeover so that you can balance that saw on your leg and do a good changeover so that...
Like we see here with his right hand.
Exactly, because when you do a cut from bottom up, it pushes you back. So you want to make sure you have control of that saw.
Ah. Again, what learned. All right, so we've seen some good times so far. That heat, by the way, Simon Farner was the faster of the two. And our character with the mustache has taken over the top spot in the stock saw results with an 11.94 official time now. Florian Motier and Jeffrey Hübscher are in positions 2 and 3 with 3 more heats to go. And I think we have a little bit of sunshine peeking through the clouds from behind the mountains. All right, next heat up, Louis Guinier against Albert Kläger. Guinier?
Guinier.
Guinier. I feel like I do much better with the Swiss and German names than I do with the Norwegian and Swedish names.
Gentlemen.
They are very difficult.
Warm up your saws.
Don't forget, folks, we also have the pro competition coming up later on this afternoon, so do stick around for that. We'll be broadcasting that one at 2 p.m.
Athletes, ready.
Here we go with this heat between Albert Kläger and Louis Guinier.
3, 2, 1, go!
Wow.
Very quick.
Ooh,
Very
that
quick.
was quick by Kläger. He was on that in a flash.
Oh,
Little
long
bit of a
changeover.
cutout there. That changeover was rough.
Oh, he's got to do another cookie. Is he gonna? Yeah.
So Klager looked like he had a real good cut, but that's a massive second cookie, and I think we might have a cut over the line at the bottom of that one. I hope not, but it appears as though he has gone over the line. We'll see what the judges say there. Could this be our first DQ? Louis Guinière is the man that may be in trouble. Albert Klager. Let's see what Andy Hall has to say.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Oh, lucky duck.
Lucky. Yes, exactly. Lucky duck is right. So
weather today.
20.16. No personal best for these two guys. Albert Klager with a decent time, though, 13:33. And he sits in fourth place at the moment. Let's see what happened here.
So you can see Albert was very quick to the saw, up onto the block, but then you'll see afterwards that changeover. Coming out of that block, you lose so many seconds if you don't have a quick changeover. You can see he comes down, goes down, takes his time, and then only comes up. So it's really got to get that saw over there. You have like 2 centimeters of space, down, over, and up.
And also when you're standing over top of the saw, if you do have a cutout, if it's on the other side of the block, sometimes you can't see that, and you only see it when the cookie falls. And what we've seen in the past, like we see the cutout there, he only saw that when the cookie went down and had to recut in order to make sure he's got 2 cookies on the deck. So at least he noticed that, and that was actually not a rookie move. I mean, he saw it on the deck and it's like, oh, got to cut again, you know?
That's right. He pulled through, did it, got his time. Not a personal best, but
he'll take it. At this point, I think better than being DQ'd. All right, 2 more heats to go. Heat number 5 and number 6 in stock saw. Our next heat coming up will be Romain Berthollet going up against our Frenchman Vincent Roussel. Vincent Roussel's personal best is also a national record. It's not too far off the world record, only 1 second difference, but you know.
That second is
a lot in this discipline, huh?
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saws.
So you can see there's 2 ways that they're allowed to start their saw, between their legs, safety start, or on the ground.
Yeah, they can actually be DQ'd for starting the saw incorrectly, can't they?
That's right, a drop start is a no-go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by both of these guys, Berthollet and Roussel.
Nice
looking
cookie
nice,
there.
clean cut. Yeah.
Nice changeover.
Oh, that was a beautiful changeover by Roussel. And you could see the experience on the saw, but he's got a cutout, so he's got to see it and go back before he turns off that saw. Ah, too late. That's going to be a DQ for Roussel.
Yeah.
That is an incomplete cookie on the deck, and that is
was
a very
close
thin one as well. Now you see
There's
we have
the
a flag on the play. Too bad.
So that's the flag that no athlete wants to see.
Especially when thrown by Bart Janssen, because he flourishes it out front of the deck.
Okay, so we have a disqualification for incomplete cookies. However, this cut is good.
So Vincent definitely will not be happy with that, but...
I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, because he stood there and stared at it. Why wouldn't he go back and do the cut again? Is that just lack of experience?
Yeah, I think so, because in training, usually if you have a cutout, you stop and you don't continue. You say, I'll make another cut. But in training, you should technically also go for that 3rd cookie to train, because now that's what happened. He's looked at it, where do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah.
You know?
That was a very thin second cookie there for Romain as well.
So it's also the question, did he have enough wood to do that 3rd cookie safely?
10 centimeters is not much when you consider that the width of the chain itself is about 2 centimeters, right?
With all the wood that comes out, it's about 1.
So actually, you've got 8 centimeters of actual wood to cut
Yes.
when you think about it. I'm just trying to make it sound more difficult than it really is.
So you can see them switching the saws. This is to be fair to the athlete. The saws and the stands are picked out so that not the same saw is on the same stand.
All right, so a couple of personal bests just north of 11 seconds. Can we see some improvements from these two guys here today? Quick guideline markers for Nathan Simeon. The Frenchman in the mix here. It's very much about routine as well in this discipline, you know, making sure that the saw is in the same place every single time,
gentlemen.
making sure that your grab is always
Warm
on
up your
point.
saws.
That's right. So this is the event that you should get trained the least. So everyone's like, chainsaw, I can do that. No big deal. But this is where you can lose or win the entire competition.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, heat
Very
is
quick.
on. Oh, that is a massive first cookie by Nathan Simeon.
So that's always the kind of bad for the athlete. If that line is still on there from the previous event, you kind of eye that.
And obviously, you know, having that massive first cookie, that takes away a lot of space for your second cookie, especially considering that your transition is at the bottom of the block and being able to line things up.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so Sean Usch has a pretty solid time there. That puts him actually at the top of the Stockstar results, and that will also put him at the top of the overall rankings stepping into the next event. So that's 2 wins back to back here.
So that's that big cookie. He hit exactly that line that was in there previously. Did a cutout, was able to save it by making that second cut a little farther in. So even though he had that cutout a little bit, the cookie was still complete, so it counted.
All right, so here we have the Stockstar results. Sean Usch once again on top of the rankings there, with Simon Farner and Romain Bertolet in positions 2 and 3. We'll take a quick look at what that looks like in the overall standings here. Sean Usch should stay atop the overall rankings, but you will see some movement in the remainder of the group there. Albert Kleger should jump up into second position, and Jeffrey Hübscher into third. If we do get an overall ranking there, it should come up shortly. Here we go. And here we go, yep, with the switching around. So Kleger in second, Hübscher in third, and Stefan Scheuch in fourth place at the moment. So excuse me, that was Stefan Scheuch with the win in the Springboard, and Sean Usch with a solid cut in Stockstar. All right, so that's 2 disciplines done and dusted. We'll be moving on to the standing block chop next, and the stage is just being set up for that. I missed what clip we're supposed to be doing here.
Premium wood.
Ah, right. We do have premium wood here. Now, a lot of people say, we're just going to go out into the forest and cut down a tree or two and then put them up on the stands and cut them. But that's not actually how it works for STIHL Timbersports. Let's find out more about the premium wood in our premium wood clip now.
STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition, we need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL TIMBERSPORTS competitions.
There's still some wild out there, but to look for it, you need something that can look adventure in the eye. Something built wild. You need a Bronco.
I want a Bronco. Don't you want a Bronco?
I would love to have a
I want
Bronco.
All right, so our next discipline is almost ready to go on stage. That's the standing block chop. Now, this is a discipline that most new athletes coming into the sport will not be allowed to do until they've mastered the underhand chop, correct? Why is that?
That's right. The underhand chop is the one that you start with. It's a little bit easier to get into, safety technical-wise, just because of how you are chopping the block. By the standing, you have to get that angle just right so that the X doesn't swing out. So that's why we start with the underhand, then standing, and then the springboard.
All right, there you go. Let's take a quick look at the tool and discipline for the standing block chop.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 27 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So we already know about the tool we saw earlier. The axes that they use here are those incredibly sharp competition racing axes. We've just seen the discipline now for the standing block chop. We're going to head up to the stage in a second to meet our athletes and check out our starting list here. So the first heats are going to come up shortly, and our first heat will be Stefan Schoik going up against Jeffrey Hübscher. Then we'll see Tim Federle against Simon Farner, Florian Motier, Dominic Gigax, again, Vincent Roussel, Louis Guigné, Albert Kläger, Nathan Simillon, Romain Bertollet, and Sean Bush. So it's a good mix up here, and we've got some fast times expected for our guys. We have an 11 and change world record for the rookies, set by none other than our friend Simon there. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to play for still here in discipline number 3. These guys are going to want to get as quick through these blocks as they can, and we get our first heat on stage ready to go with Stefan Schoik and Jeffrey Hübscher. And again, Jeffrey's fan club runs to the gate there, and the rain has stopped. It's dripping a little bit, but the girls are coming up to the front again. So there's Stefan, who had that world record in the springboard for the intermediates. He'll be wanting to try and get a very good time here to get himself back on top of the standings.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So similar positions, just like on the springboard, but here there's the balancing act doesn't come into place, so you're a little bit, you can use that axe, you can use your weight a little bit better. And since we have to chop that log from both sides, with the standing, we actually switch to the other side.
So Hübscher was the first over to the other side. He's about 3.5 strokes, 2.5 strokes ahead of Stefan Schoik, but it's Schoik with a personal best 36.95 coming from behind, with Hübscher with a time of 39.63, both personal bests for those gentlemen. So nicely done. looking forward to seeing the slow-mo on this one as well, because it appeared to me as though Stefan Schoik was a little bit slow on that front side, but he got to the second side and he was motoring.
That's right, and his finish was a bit of a surprise for him as well. We'll see this in the slow-mo. He did an up hit on his last hit.
Yeah, that's unusual, hey? So in the difference in the styles here, we could see that Jeffrey is really digging in and using that back leg to push through, and it seemed to me like Stefan was relying more on his upper body and not really utilizing the swing weight of the axe.
That's right. You'll see a lot of different ways that the athletes chop, and you have so many great athletes that give you tips. You kind of have to figure out what works for you. Kind of take a little bit of every method of how to chop.
And here's that upswing. And he got a little bit surprised by that one. You're absolutely right. He was like, what? It's done? So fantastic run there by Stefan Schoik. So he'll take those 12 points for the moment, but there's still a lot of swinging to come for these guys with 5 more heats to go. Tim Federle and Simon Farner going up against each other, and I'm slowly starting to really like this guy, Simon Farner. You know, he's got that character face. He looks all mean and nasty in the one-up picture that you see there on screen, but then it's just all giggles and grins on stage. Between these two guys, in particular, you could see them talking to each other and chirping a little bit, which is kind of funny.
Okay, gentlemen, athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So you can see by these guys, they take a little bit of a time to get that axe into the wood after the go. So that will improve once they get a little more experience. You want to really be at the go, ready to get in that wood.
We see Simon Farner switching over to the other side of his block. Was that an early switch, or do you think that was time-wise good?
Time-wise, not bad, but that last hit should have been a little better. It was in the wrong spot. It didn't really cut the wood for him to knock it off.
Oh, look at that! 39.50 for Simon Farner. Great finish as well. Tim Federle is cutting a bit straight there on those last 4 or 5 drivers, but it's a 49.06 personal best for him as well.
You can see there with his block, it went right point on point. You want to have that offset point to make it easier to knock it off at the end.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
That was an interesting time, 0.82 seconds.
Yeah.
Don't think that was entirely correct, so something going on there as the guys start to clean up the wood on deck, and they will change the stands around to get 4 new stands out there for our next couple of heats.
Some good strong hits there. Quite a big angle on the down hit there by Simon. So he should technically be taking his axe there a little bit lower. He's going in quite flat, which was giving him some issues later by Tim. So you can see there how he's higher up than his other side.
A lot of garbage in the way there as well with those straight cut-ins, but they'll both take those personal bests any day of the week. Now, I mentioned really quickly that the guys are cleaning up all the wood on stage, and you might be watching this and going, what the heck is going on? They're ruining trees. They've got junk all over the place. Well, it's actually a little bit more sustainable than what a lot of people think about the wood management that we have here. So let's take a little bit of a look into that with a deeper dive into our wood management.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our steel competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
I don't know if I could cut a chair that's quite as nice as that one, but maybe I'll give it a try one day. Why not? All right, so our next heats are coming up shortly. The stage is, as I see, just about prepared, looking out of our studio here. Any thoughts on what you've seen on stage in the last 2 heats? Tough one.
It is. I think we have our next 2 up.
Oh, we do. All right, coming up next, we have Florian Mottier and Dominic Gigax going up against each other. So Florian's got a personal best of 134.41, so he'll definitely be wanting to improve on that. And Dominic holds the national record for the intermediates.
Okay, gentlemen. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And you can see again those nails at the top of the block to prevent those major slabs from coming off.
That's right. It looks like they're not of much use, but they have to be that high because in case they don't hit their lines, you don't want to hit into those nails.
Dominic Gigax.
Oh, his block is broken apart. You can see how it is vibrating.
Vibrating big time, and Mottier as well. So Gigax with a personal best 39.61. Oh boy, that's a big break for him. That's going to take away a lot of the power with each one of those drives. But that's a fantastic time for Mottier. 47.67. That's a huge improvement, going from 130 and change to under a minute. So that's fantastic run for him. Great job.
So he'll definitely be happy with that. But when you see that block, it's a little disappointing because you know he could have done it a little bit faster.
But that's the turn of events here. But he did well to get through it, even though the block, because, and we should probably explain a little bit more in that the block broke off. So the whole thing was moving, which means each driver that goes in moves the block before it actually cuts the block.
That's right. So you're only, what you usually would cut maybe like 2 to 4 centimeters, it's only cutting like 1 centimeter now. So it just takes so many more hits to get through.
Nevertheless, it was a good run for both of these guys. So Florian Mottier will definitely take that to the bank, improving massively on his previous personal best time. Obviously, he's been training hard on that one. Dominic Gigax with a 39.28 after adjustment, and there you can see the break in the middle of the log. Wow, that's rough.
Yeah, so there are 4 dogs in there that are holding that block, and they even have it secured again, but it just, the vibrations are too much.
Hey, almost didn't look pleased with that time.
Yeah. It always takes that a few seconds to realize what that time really is or what it means.
All right, Vincent Roussel coming up next against Louis Guinier. I think I've murdered his name now 4 different ways to Sunday coming out on stage. Both these guys' personal best under a minute, so expectations are definitely going to be high. French fans in front of us.
Okay, gentlemen. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So here you get a good view of cutting new wood at 3 different drivers. You know, you want to try and get that line as clean as possible, right?
That's right. You don't want any. You don't want that staircase in there, because then you're literally cutting the wood twice.
Louis still on his first side, I believe, and Vincent Roussel almost through the second side here as he's working hard, putting a lot of power in there. He should be a couple more drivers to get it done. There it is, a personal best, 41-44. Louis has finally moved over to the second side of his block, but well back, but he's got a bit of a wiggler. Maybe he'll get through there.
Now you can drive it off.
No, he's got too much material there still. Yeah. He's over the minute mark now, so he's going to be displeased by that, absolutely.
So you can see how much material he still has on that other side. It is pertinent to get that out of there.
So deeper first cut, making sure you get nice and clean and open on the first set of cuts, and then you can go for it on the second set. But again, room for improvement, and we'll definitely see that from these guys. Louis with a little bit of a shoulder shrug there, and obviously not feeling 100% about that cut.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, Vincent Roussel, though, with a personal best, 41.06, showing well in the standing block chop. Louis Guinier definitely wants to make improvements on that one, as his personal best time was much faster than that. I don't know if I would be able to control the axe enough to be able to keep it on that same line every time. I mean, that is just a skill.
It takes a lot of strength, because with the standing block, your axe is out to the side, so you do not have gravity in your favor.
Gravity's my friend on a bike. There's that final driver from Vincent Roussel, very nice. And Louis struggling a little bit here.
It's always when you think, yep, this is going to be that last hit, and then it just, nothing happens.
It's troublesome.
Ah, one more, come on.
And we've seen it too, where there's been like a thread of wood and the guy's just hammering away. It's not going away. It's so frustrating to watch for us here in studio as well. But if you like watching timber sports, there is a ton still to happen. Let's take a look at what's coming up in the next couple weeks and months, as well as what you can watch on demand with our schedule of events. There's still some events to go. Austrian national finals are coming up, as well as the Czech national finals. We do also have the Nations Cup.
European Nations Cup,
The European Nations Cup coming up. That's going to be very exciting, where the rookies and the pros get together and compete to try and gain points for the nations. And of course, we have the World Championship coming up in November. Looking forward to that coming into Stuttgart. Let's take a look here. So video on demand, Polish Pro Championship, the European Trophy, both from Poznan in Poland. That was back in July. You can also check out video on demand of the US Pro Championship, where a new Springboard world record was achieved. The Nordic Championship as well. Swiss Pro right now is coming up this afternoon, so make sure you tune in for that. Then the Austrian Championship on the 2nd of September, the European Nations Rookie Cup, and then the European Nations Pro Cup, both on the 3rd of September. The German Pro Championship in October, and then the 3rd and 4th of November, we've got the Team World Championship and the Individual World Championship, respectively, coming to you from the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart. You'll be there, I'll be there. It's going to be a ton of fun, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into the Stuttgart, the arena in Stuttgart, because in 2016, when the Springboard world record was broken by Sterling Hart, the place exploded, and I'm expecting some serious excitement
It was on fire. That
at
was
this year's.
unreal.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. All right, next heat is ready to go on stage, and we're going to head over there and take a look at our next pairing. Albert Kleger going up against Nathan Similion. This young man is obviously an excellent axeman. Now, what kind of a blade is that? Is that a wedge?
It's a combo.
Because there's different blade choices. There's a banana, half banana. There's a
chisel. There's combo. There's so many different ones. So it always depends on the wood that you got.
2, 1, go!
Which one you want to choose. What your favorite style of axe is. So you can see very good hard hits by both of them.
Similion over to the other side of his block ahead of Kleger. Kleger opting to go a bit deeper on the first side of his block. Similion putting a lot of power. Whoa, look at that personal best of 26.39 for Nathan Similion.
Hard hits there by Albert.
Should be through any second now. A couple more drivers for Albert should do it.
There you go.
And that's going to be a personal best for the young man as well. 39.65. Great job. Excellent run for both of these guys. You wouldn't think it to look at him, but that dude has a significant amount of power behind him.
So he's young. He's been chopping already for a little bit.
Both cuts are good.
What is it they say, though? It's all about technique. Fantastic.
His dad competed in the qualifications yesterday, but sadly did not make it to the final.
Oh.
So that's why there's the junior written there. Papa and son both compete.
Boy, do they ever. Look at that. And I mean, your forearm grip strength has to be intense and be able to hold onto that axe to make those small angle adjustments as well, to make sure that you're getting in, and as well, you're not just cutting in one position, you're cutting on the back side and the front side to make sure you're getting as much material off those cuts each time.
That's right. You got to move. You got to move up on your axe. You got to change your position, the way you're standing. There's so many things that have to go just right so you can get that optimal hit.
All right, well, both cuts are good, and that is a couple of dudes that got some personal bests. And as I look at our results so far, it is personal bests across the board with the exception of Louis Guigné, which is unfortunate. I think maybe he had a knot in his block or something, because his personal best is under a minute. So that was not really expected for him. All right, next heat, Romain Berthollet, who you're looking at right there, going up against Sean Ush. Now, you mentioned Sean Ush is a big, powerful man, and we saw him in the Springboard doing good things with the axe up top. Let's see how he does here on the standing.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Pace by Berthollet there as he's trying to get as many drivers in as possible. Two schools of thought there: power, accuracy, or just go for it with speed.
Power, accuracy. It depends on your build. There's some guys that can do it just with
holy moly!
Give it all you got.
Sean Ush with a 1999. Gonna party like it's 1999. He's had a faster time. His personal best was 18:20, so obviously a little bit slower than expected, and Romain Berthollet with a 38.55, just under his previous personal best, so he'll take that one to the bank as well. Great time, but Sean Ush with the fastest time of the day so far, and not even a personal best for him, so he moves up to the top of the standing block chop results, and that's going to put him in good stead in the overall standings as well.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So yeah, Sean Ush, he is one of the favorites here today. He was supposed to go to the Rookie World Champions, but because he was injured, he could not go. So he was prepared, so he definitely wants to get that chance to go again now.
Yeah, clearly he was prepared. And here we see Romain Berthollet really going for it. I love the pace at which he was chopping. I mean, you mentioned accuracy, definitely better, but you know, here you can see a major chunk came off for Sean Ush. That's a big advantage for him as well because there's less material to cut through on the backside. I would be afraid that some of those pieces would be flying at my face after some of those hits you see. Boy, he just sent that out into left field. That's a home run in any game of baseball.
That's right. The thing is, you have to, with that last hit, you got to give it your all. You can't just kind of tap it just because it's a smaller piece of wood.
Yeah.
So if it flies, it flies.
Alrighty then, let's take a look here. Standing block, chop ranking, Sean Ush on top with Nathan Semillon in second place. Stefan Scheuch with a good result there will help him move up in the overall rankings a bit. Berthollet, Hübscher round out the top 5. Let's take a look how that changes in the overall standings. We'll see some shifting here as well. Sean Ush stays on top with 34 points. Stefan Scheuch, excuse me, moving up into second place with 26, and Jeffrey Hübscher maintains his third place spot with 25. Albert Kläger, the junior, at 23 points. So those top 4 guys at the moment are still in the mix. There's 2 more disciplines to go, and there's still a possibility for these guys to that are down in the teens to get up there into the 20s and make a rush for that top spot. But right now, Sean Ush is well in control as we get ready and move to our next discipline, the single buck, otherwise known as the misery whip.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, quick peek into the studio though before we go to our start list. Hübscher going up against Scheuch in heat number 1, Gigax and Fidele in heat number 2, Guinier and Farner in heat number 3. Then we have Florian Motier, Albert Kläger, heat 4, Romain Berthollet, Nathan Semillon in heat 5, and rounding out heat number 6, Vincent Roussel and Sean Ush. Now, I mentioned before we went to the clip about the discipline here. It's called the misery whip. There is a reason behind it being called the misery whip, because it can make you miserable if that saw stops mid-cut.
That's right. As soon as you get a little bit of a hiccup in there, it just plays with your nerves, and if you're in the flow and it stops, to get that flow back takes so many strokes that it's it'll make or break your day.
Well, I mentioned that for me, the springboard in the pro competition just before they go over to the hot saw was my make or break, because you know you can really mess your day up with a bad springboard. But for these guys, this could be their make or break before they go to the underhand chop. So they have to have a good time in the single buck. Now that 2-meter-long cross-cut saw, like you were mentioning, if it gets stopped up in the middle of a cut, it is a bear to restart. So technique plays a big role here. So does rhythm.
That's right. And it depends on how you use your saw. You will see different styles. If they saw flat, they have quite an end on it. Take a look. We'll see how they do it.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Jeffrey Hübscher there on the left-hand side of the stage. Stefan Scheuch on the right-hand side. Both of them looking pretty good. Schoik, nice straight cuts, no rocking at all. Hübscher looking good too. A little bit of a hook up there, but that's a nice time for Schoik. 20.38. Hübscher with a 23.20. Both of them will bank personal bests on that one. And that's a pretty nice run. I don't know if it's like sisters or school friends or if he's a local boy, but it seems like Jeffrey Hübscher's got quite the fan club here. There's always a line of 5 or 6 girls yelling his name when he goes up on stage.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Yeah,
right, sorry, small adjustments there for Schoik going down to 20.22 and Jeffrey Hübscher with a 22.94. And sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
So yeah, Jeffrey Hübscher does have quite a big fan club here today because, well, he's competing and his dad is also competing this afternoon.
Oh.
So everybody has come. They both train in our club, so.
It's a family affair.
That's right. So you can see here what I was saying about the saws.
Oh.
Stefan Schoik did not use his complete saw, where Jeffrey really used the entire saw. You can see it from front to back. He completely utilized almost every tooth.
I like to call it tip to knuckles when you're really cutting clean and efficiently. It's interesting to watch, like you mentioned the different styles where some guys will have those long, flowy, clean strokes and other guys will just be using the middle part of the song going back and forth really fast. So I'm looking at the slips that Dominik Gigax has over top of his spiked shoes as he sets the saw in place. Now, this is something that we see fairly often. Those spiked shoes are more or less shot put or javelin shoes that they're using, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just about any of the track events that have spiked shoes, you can use any of them. Obviously, it'd be better to have the shot put ones because they have the spikes all the way to the back.
Yeah. And I believe they have a fairly flat sole as well, as we can see. Yep.
That's right. It gives you a little bit more grip.
So last placements of the saw in that guideline that they cut.
Okay, gentlemen. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Ooh, a big hookup for Dominik there as that saw stopped dead in his tracks. That's twice now. He's got to keep that thing going.
So you can see how his cut is slightly crooked. It's got quite the angle on it. That means he's going to be cutting a lot more wood, which that's where the in-cut, the first cut that you do before the competition starts, is so crucial so that your saw is straight.
He's got a little bit of rocking there as well, but he's got it through in 26.96, so he'll take a personal best there. Tim Federle, meanwhile, has got a personal best of 31.72, but he was using very little amount of the saw, and he wasn't really cutting with a quick pace.
Yeah, he had a little hook up there at the start as well. At the beginning, you want to try and do 2 short pulls just to get that flow going, get that saw into the wood, and then give it all you got.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, again, personal best. We like to see that always. Dominik Gigax and Tim Federle. Dominik sitting in 3rd place right now, Tim in 4th with a 26.72 and 31.49 respectively. Oh, there's a hookup from both of these guys.
So with the rookie, the chances are that they don't have their own saw yet, so they're borrowing it. So that means training with an actual saw is very difficult if you don't have one.
I also wonder where it's worse to have the hookup, on the push or the pull. I think my opinion would be it would be worse to have the hookup on the push because then the saw potentially could bend and then you're just fighting 2 different animals there.
Yeah. But every hookup is not nice.
the stage a quick blow down and vacuum to make sure that the space is clear for the next athletes to come out, and that will be Louis Guinier and Simon Farner.
So he'll make a bigger cookie there, you'll see at the top, just because it's a little bit crooked, so that he can make sure he gets through and not cut out. Because that is also possible here, to get a DQ by cutting out.
Something else that we've seen quite often is if an athlete has that cookie a bit too thin, when they get down to the bottom of their cut, they're putting a little bit too much in, and it will bend in the middle of the cut and pop out the cookie, and then you have to place it back on there. And this is just what you were talking about, to cut off that little tab at the bottom to make sure it's legal. They are allowed to do that. Otherwise, it's like what you say, they have the DQ from an incomplete cookie.
That's right. As long as you can put all the parts back together like a puzzle, you're good to go.
Okay, gentlemen. Athletes, ready?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Louis not even looking at the saw, he's just looking straight ahead and breathing. Seems to be working for him though, a little bit of a hook up there. Oh!
So that's
he's got
what I
some
was
trouble.
worried about.
Yeah.
Because he's got quite a small cookie there.
Yeah, that's that angle you were talking about. So let's see if he gets to keep that time or if he's going to be DQ'd here. Hopefully there's no DQ.
You saw there, but when he was setting up, he wanted to go past that marking that they had made, and they told him he had to go back. So that'll be what the discussion is about there now.
Well, he's got a lot of parts to put back together on the ground there. Hopefully it isn't a major problem for him. Judges conference on stage.
Yeah, so he's saying there the block from Gigux before was cut at an angle.
I could read the lips of Andy Hall. It is what it is. So, as an athlete, do you have a chance to protest something like this and perhaps have a recut? Is there that option for an athlete to be able to do it if he's not been satisfied with the status of the block before he goes up on stage, or is that something that he needs to point out before he gets into competition mode?
He should have pointed it out before, but you have the opportunity. If something is not the proper way, you do have 5 minutes after your event, or up to 5 minutes after your event, to discuss that with your athlete committee. So 2 athletes will be chosen before the entire competition starts for issues like this, that afterwards you can go to the judges and discuss. You also have the global sports director that is here for such issues. If he's not at the competition itself, he's always available with a telephone call, so that this stuff can be discussed, and it's got to be fair. So we want a fair competition.
I mean, it seems like Louis is not super happy about the situation, and it appears as though we will have a DQ.
Okay, so we have a disqualification for an incomplete cookie. However, this cut is good.
All right, so that's an unfortunate situation for Louis Guinier. And They're taking a close look. Bart Janssen even making an appearance on stage, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Oh,
that's right. Oh,
the puns are flying.
Yes.
Sorry. And that is an unfortunate situation, and the discussion still rages back there with Andy Hall as he is doing his best to try and make the situation or appeal to the judges. But let's see if we take a closer look at this here. Yeah, he does
so
have a very
you can see
thin
how crooked it is there. So technically they should have made a clean cut or let him take some more of that block. So I'll be surprised if they don't try and pull it further, because you could see there how he cuts out.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So in that case, even though he did go back and cut the last part, the angle was so hardcore that there would be no chance for him.
But I bet you now, if you measure the top and the bottom, he has a straight cut there.
Yeah. So that theoretically should have been a situation where they come in with a motor saw, straighten the whole block up, and then give him an opportunity to really have a complete and straight cut there.
That's right.
All right, so the discussion rages, and there is the possibility that we may see a recut for Louis afterwards. It's not guaranteed, obviously, but as Yolanda mentioned, he does have 5 minutes after stepping off the stage to be able to appeal to committee to see what happens. There's a possibility, but we will cross our fingers for him. At the moment, he's disqualified from that particular discipline, so no points. And so for him, the deal is going to be he's going to want to try and have a recut later on. Whether or not that happens, that's going to come down to a committee discussion now, correct?
That's right, if he decides to pull through with that committee. Okay. It's up to him. If he doesn't mention that and do it within that 5 minutes, then done is done.
So what's the drawback for him at this point? That if he goes to committee, is there any risk that he's going to be penalized further, or it's just the DQ is going to be the way it is?
No, he can't be penalized any further. The only time something like that would come in effect if you were trying to discuss cutting a foot hole or like something that is really obvious, then you can't go to that committee.
Okay.
They won't even take it because it's
right.
an obvious DQ. But here
it's a tough one because the angle was noticeable beforehand, and we saw him set the saw, as you mentioned, Yolanda, that he wanted to go farther back on the block, but he wasn't able to. But we'll see what happens as we move on. We're going back onto the stage now to our next heat, and that is going to be with Albert Kleger, and Florian Mottier. So Florian getting his final sawing position, his saw position and everything. You can see Albert Kleger on the back side of the stage. Oh, golf shoes this time. Going for the stylish option.
That's right.
Albert Kleger has been an impressive young man for me on the stage today. He's been very, very solid. I really like the athletic ability and his demeanor on stage as well. He's really into it.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
There we go. Florian Mottier. Ooh, big hook up there.
Good
Kleger on the other side. Florian's got a quicker pace. Kleger's using the whole saw, though.
He's got a good saw there. He's almost out.
Yo,
wow.
18.98. That's a nice time by Florian Mottier. Kleger with a little bit of a hook up at the bottom, but he's got a 25.42. Solid time for him as well. That puts Albert Kleger in 4th place. And the 18.98 of Florian Mottier puts him atop the rankings in single buck. It's a good time, even with those funky golf shoes.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Not getting points for style, that's for sure.
You'll see a lot of the French-speaking guys. They're all in the same club. They'll all have those kinds of shoes. It's kind of their.
It's
their
a thing,
style.
huh? Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at this again.
So nice 2 big pulls there, getting into the single buck event. It's got a good saw there, that little hook up there, but
that was really
didn't
the only
seem
one
to
there.
phase him at all. So you can see there, he doesn't even lift the saw that much. That is exactly how you want the saw. As soon as you start lifting, you're not cutting any wood. A beautiful cut.
Good straight cookie as well.
You can see there, he had a little bit of hook up. As soon as you get that hook up, your nerves start to play. You're not looking at that point where you need to be looking at, and that's when it happens more and more with the hookups.
All right, so next heat coming up, we have Romain Berthollet going up against Nathan Similion. Time to beat at the moment is 18.73 seconds. That was just achieved by Florian Mottier. So now what is the rule then about that? Because you could see the blue markings on the block. Do they have to set the saw inside of those blue markings, or?
Yeah, because you don't want to make a cookie that's 10 centimeters wide, because you're wasting the wood. It doesn't need to be that big, so that's why they make that marking, and you have to stay on that side of it.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Romain Berthollet on the other side, left-hand side of the stage. There you see him, Nathan Similion in the blue jersey on the right-hand side of the stage. Both of them getting a couple of hookups and struggling to keep that flow going. Berthollet seems to have found his flow though. Good run by Nathan Similion, 19.69. That'll put him in second place squarely. Berthollet with a 24.09 personal best. So again, personal best for both of these guys, and that moves them into the top 3 positions, just behind Florian Mottier. Nathan Similion in second place, and Stefan Schoik still sitting in third place. So there was a small adjustment on that run from Romain Berthollet, and he's actually fallen down to 5th in the single buck. But a good time for Nathan Similion from France, 19.93, sets him squarely in second place here in single buck results. Oh.
You can see that hookup right there. So when the athlete stands a little too far back, he pulls the saw completely into the block, and then when you want to push, it can hook up right at the start of the saw. So you literally want to find that optimal position that you're using the entire saw but not pulling the end of it into the wood.
I very often see the athlete dig their elbow into the saw as well, so they can keep that part of the saw straight, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, but bring around a little bit more of their hip into the push through.
If that really helps is questionable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you have
it's only my observation as a outsider.
The chances are bigger that it starts to wobble as well and you're unstable, because that saw is so strong, it'll literally push you off your feet when you're the way you're standing. With the nails in the shoes, you're kind of stuck, so
yeah.
It's not that easy to slide your foot.
All right, Sean Ush looking to regain the top of the leaderboard. He is going up against Vincent Roussel here. You can see those super aggressive sweeper and cutter teeth on that single buck saw. Now this is there's 2 different types or 3 different types of single saws. There's the M-cut tooth as well, right? This is a little bit shorter. This is a competition saw.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah, you won't seldom see an M-tooth in a competition.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So these are all peg and rakers that they have here. Wow, look at that. Look at Sean out. He's got some speed on there.
And that's that other style I was talking about, not really using the entire saw. He's got a bit of a break off. He's got to be careful there. There's a little piece at the bottom that could cause him problems. We could see it from here even.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the judges say.
I don't think he's noticed it. He's already packing up his saw. Vincent Roussel trying to struggling to get through there, but that's a massive time from Sean Ush. If that time stands, that is going to be an absolutely fantastic personal best for him. But that little tooth at the bottom is going to be the problem if it's actually there.
No yellow flags, so.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Oh,
wow,
got lucky
he's
there.
gonna be
Nice.
happy.
All right. So that's a 14A6. That puts him atop the leaderboard in single buck, and that means that's going to put him squarely in the overall lead with 46 points as we look back at the slow-mos here.
So Vincent's having a little bit of trouble. You can see how he's picking up that saw quite a bit. It's not cutting much of the log. And just that power from Sean, unreal.
Steep angle too.
Yeah, so with the steep angle, you always have to be careful that in the end, when you get to the bottom, that you're not hitting the nose of your saw into the ground.
Ooh, and that's what I was talking about right there. That little, it almost wedged it off, but it seemed like it took the wood with him, so in a way, he got lucky.
Very lucky, yes.
Ah, there we go. All right, so here we're taking a look at the results in single buck. Sean Usch for the rookies with a great time of 14.86, and you weren't kidding when you said he was ready to go to the Rookie World Championships. Unfortunately, an injury prevented that from happening. Florian Motier with a second fastest time of an 18.73. Nathan Similion with the 19.93. So those guys all under the 22nd mark in the top 3 positions. And that will do a couple of small things in the overall standings. That means Sean Usch will maintain his lead, but now it's a commanding lead of 46 points. Stefan Scheuch with 35 points in second place. Still does have an opportunity to catch up and perhaps take over. And then Jeffrey Hübscher in third place with 33 points. And Klega, Albert Klega Jr., just bringing up the fourth place with 29. So some guys that are in the mix, but really Sean Usch with that 46 points is well and truly in the lead here. It's going to be tough for the other guys to catch up with him with one discipline left to go.
Yeah, he's a clear favorite in this competition, but still one discipline.
Yeah, and you mentioned that he couldn't go to the Rookie World Championships because of injury. He's clearly back from injury here as he is on fire. He definitely has something to prove in this competition here today in Lucerne. So one more discipline to go. I do believe that we can take a look at the tool and discipline for the underhand chop, and then we'll come back into the studio and then we'll meet our athletes.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, so there you go. Underhand chop coming up has to be cut from both sides. So here's where that agility on the block is going to play a role. You're going to see these guys jumping around. You'll see some guys stepping around gingerly to make sure they're on position. There's also a few things that are playing factor in. Some guys you may see step down off the block, but they have to make sure they don't swing that axe before they have their foot back on top.
That's right.
And you mentioned earlier as well when we were talking about the appeals to the judges about cutting into the footholds. Now, this is where that plays a role. There are footholds that the guys stand on, and they're not allowed to cut into the footholds. How is that marked?
So the footholds are your safety region for your feet. You make your own footholds. So when you mark your log where you're going to cut, you got to kind of think, how accurately am I going to hit that block? A lot of the athletes will have anywhere from 2 to 4 centimeters away from where they're chopping because you're more stable when you stand closer together with your feet. More rookies or inexperienced athletes, they will make it a little farther just in case you have that mishit, because even just scratching that foothold where you've made your cut is a DQ.
All right, a mishit is also something that you don't want to have, especially seeing as your feet are that far away from an incredibly sharp instrument. But the guys are wearing chainmail socks and shin protectors, so they won't cut through their feet, but they might do some damage to a toe or so, but they're that good. All right, let's check out the start list for our last discipline of the day, the underhand chop. And this is where it all comes down to it. So we have Stefan Scheuch going up against Jeffrey Hübscher, Tim Federle against Simon Farner, Florian Mottier against Dominic Gigax, Roman Bertollet against Louis Guinier, Nathan Similion against Albert Kläger Jr., and Vincent Roussel against Sean Usch. And that is our lineup to see who will take the top points and the overall today. So right now, Sean Usch, as we mentioned, is well and truly in the lead with 46 points. Jeffrey Hübscher currently sitting in third place. Now, if he has an absolutely incredible cut here and Sean Usch just completely disintegrates and has a DQ, there is the possibility that he might be able to jump up there, but that would be a really, really difficult situation for him because at the moment, Sean has just been really, really good. Stefan Scheuch and Jeffrey Hübscher coming up onto stage now as they will make their way over to their blocks. Again, 2 axes in play for these guys in case something should happen. We did see that at a World Championships a while ago in the team competition, I believe, or was it the individual where the axe head broke for, I believe it was the Swedish competitor, and he actually had to pick up the new axe and cut with the new axe.
That's right.
He still managed to get the clean cut.
Stand
Here we go.
to your timber.
And win.
3, 2,
Correct.
1, go!
So Jeffrey Hübscher with good pace on his. Scheuch going for those big power drivers. Nice chips flying for both of these guys. Who's going to go over to the other side first?
Oh, I think Jeffrey's already switched over.
He is onto the other side. Now Scheuch with him, but Jeffrey has definitely got the advantage as he is through in a 29.65. Great cut as he's enjoying that one. Absolutely.
He is happy.
Stefan Scheuch still working on that first side, or second side, excuse me, now to get through there. And those are those steps that you were talking about. That's a really beautiful view there.
That's right. You want it as smooth as a baby's bottom. So the judges are taking a look there with the slabbing rule. They did just hold a piece up to make sure that those nails were in place. We'll see what they have to say.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, I think Jeffrey is pleased that this competition is over for him. He can go into the back now and just sit back and watch what happens the rest of the way through.
That's right.
So that's a nice personal best time of 29.33 for him. Stefan Scheuch with a 46.17 as we look back at the replay here.
So you can see it did break off right to the nails. That is okay. There's no issue with that. Didn't go past the nails.
And that's the purpose of the nails, to make sure that that's held into place.
Exactly.
Those are some big pieces coming off there, blocking our camera. Photographer Uncle Jürgen in a risky position there, getting the good the good shots.
Getting that perfect shot.
Right in front. All right, quick change on deck there as we go to our next tee. Tim Federle going up against Simon Farner. Both of them looking exceptionally serious here.
Yes.
I have to say, I kind of like having the springboard as the first discipline. It really sets us up for exciting battles along the way. And as we saw, you know, the world record there went down for the intermediate, so it's quite a cool way to start things off.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Simon Farner a little bit ginger on the change of his position there as he moved from one side to the other, left to the right. Tim Federle cooking it.
Simon doesn't even seem to be really standing up to put that axe up and use gravity as in your favor.
So his right side cuts seem to be much smoother than his left side cuts, but he's over to the other side of his block before Tim. So Tim coming over about 4.5, 5 strokes behind Simon.
So there's that step down. He did it right. He came back up and did that the next hit.
So Simon Farner with a 45.91. And I like that he comes over and he starts supporting his countrymate on stage there.
That's right, their teammates train at the same club. So there's always that support from one another.
Tim's got to get through there in a couple more. He's only got till 130 on the underhand chop, so he's got one more driver, maybe should do it, as he seemed to push that log over a bit, and he's struggling. There it is, finally got it, good stuff. So 122.28, first score for him in the books as a personal best, good job. Is it cut through completely, though, is the question. That's the big one that they're going to look at now, and that looks like it might even be a DQ for him as they're taking a look. That would be unfortunate. Oh, yep. It's not cut through.
No.
Oh, no.
That's a shame.
That is a shame.
There's that yellow flag.
Oh, and with a flourish this time.
Okay, unfortunately, we have a disqualification because the block isn't severed. However, this cut is good.
Okay, won't
Tim's
be happy
struggling
with
a
that.
bit today, huh?
Yeah. So you see there's a big step right in there. So that means his window is getting a lot smaller. It makes it more difficult once he switches over to the other side to sever that block.
He could theoretically cut into that step and remove it, though, if he stays on that one side, correct?
That's right, and that's what we try to do in training is when you make a hit that isn't where it's supposed to be, redo it. It's going to save you a lot of hits on the other side later.
So now, question, in this position here, he cuts through, believes that the block is severed, but it wasn't. If he pushed out with his foot on that loose side and it peeled the block away, would that be counted as an official cut through, or is that more of a sneaky way of making the block separate?
They would see that in the video trailer, would double check that as well to make sure that it wasn't ripped off.
Okay.
If it is so, then it's a DQ.
And one more reason why we have our competition control center and the guys in there taking every nuance of those high-speed cameras and really looking for those small bits and pieces. All right, so we are just setting up the stage again for our next set of heats, and as we know, we have rookies on stage here today, but we also, and you mentioned this earlier, one of our guys was preparing for the Rookie Worlds and wasn't able to go. Let's take a look back at those guys that did participate in the Rookie World Championships this year and some of the mad action we saw there.
Welcome, we are here in Rotterdam for the International Rookie World Championships 2023.
Oh my goodness, that's his 4th world record. That's a beautiful first cookie. Nice transition to the upcut.
Time to go to the third discipline, the standing block chop.
Holy moly, folks, look how fast Grunwald is. We might have
returns rookie world champion Simon Grönwald there.
I gotta say, I think our producer put on the pro highlights. I mean, that was insane.
It was crazy.
Madness. The rookies that are coming through the system now are unbelievable. The talent there is crazy, and we're seeing a lot of that talent here on stage as we get ready for our next set of heats coming up in the underhand chop. So we're going to go back up onto the stage because it looks like our stage is pretty much ready to go, and some more exciting underhand chop coming your way. All right, Florian Motier, who had a problem with his single buck earlier on. Hopefully we will not have any problems for him in the underhand chop going up against Dominic Gigax. He's going to have to put that single buck out of his mind.
That's right.
And really concentrate on making sure he's got good clean cuts here on the underhand.
Okay, gentlemen. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
I think I'd want to wear steel-toed boots in this discipline, quite honestly.
It makes it difficult because you can't feel the wood that well.
Yeah.
So that's why they have these sneakers on.
Florian Motier looking very good. Dominic Gigax going nice and deep on the first side. Good clean cuts for both of these guys by the looks of it. Oops, step down. Florian moving over to the other side, just about a stroke and a half ahead of Dominic. Some good chips flying.
You can see that on that shot from Florian, there might be a double check on his stand after.
All right, 50.33 personal best for Florian. The question is about that double check, if he's cut into the foothold, so we'll see. Or if it's a big chip that's come away.
Oh, we got a thumbs up. I think we're good.
Cross your fingers. We don't
Yes.
need any more drama
No,
for
we
Florian
don't.
today.
No.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Excellent.
So a little relief breath for both of us there, so
Yes.
that Florian can walk away with some points on that one. And Jeffrey Hupscher still with the fastest time so far in the underhand with a 29.33. Florian with a 49.84 and Dominic with a 51.78. Couple of nice clean huts and kits there though.
There's that step down.
I'm guessing that's one of the first things that you learn in the underhand is don't swing that axe when your foot's on the ground.
Yeah. See those hard hits. So now that hit was kind of a miss because he didn't let it look out at the top or at the bottom. You want to make sure that your axe is cutting the most wood possible.
All right, heat number 4 coming up with Romain Berthollet and Louis Guinier. Lots of action still to come today with the pro men coming up later on in the afternoon, and there's plenty more action remaining in the year. We'll update you on that just after these heats are all done.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So my question is on the go, is it the impact in the wood that counts or the swing of the axe that counts?
The impact of the wood.
Impact
it's
of
not
the wood.
allowed to get into the wood before that G from go has come through over the speaker.
So this is just about the timing. Wow, look at this. Guinier already onto the other side of his block, and he is working fast and furious with that axe. The pace that he's got is quite quick. Could we have a fast time here? No, not the fastest of the day, but struggling on the second side a bit. Maybe he jumped a bit too early.
So his block is a bit loose. One of the dogs has come out. So that is not so great.
42.52, he'll take the personal best though, and I think he really wanted to go faster than that because he was looking like he was motivated, and a 50.72, I'm sure that's going to drop down as well for Bertollet. I'm positive that Romain will have a slightly faster time after adjustment.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
There we go, 50.05 for Bertollet, 42.23 for Guinier. A couple of personal bests as well, and again, across the board personal bests. Tim would have had that as well, had he not had that problem, but it is what it is.
So you can see both very good hard hits in that changeover. So you could have probably done one more hit at the bottom on this side. Would have helped him out a little, but I think the biggest issue is because one of the ducks came out that the block wasn't secure.
Yeah, that can. Oh, yeah, I see, and that can take away your confidence on board. All right, and the final driver there. All right, so that is 4 of 6 heats done and dusted. There's still 2 more heats to go in the underhand chop before we figure out who is your overall winner here for our Newcomer Cup. Before that, let's take a look at what's coming up in the remainder of the year for live streams and video on demand. So coming live streams, we have the Swiss Pro Championship this afternoon. We have the Austrian Pro Championship coming from Seefeld, Austria, beautiful area, on the 2nd of September, and then the European Nations Rookie Cup and Pro Cup on the 3rd of September, respectively, back-to-back, where they're gaining points for their nations to try and see which nation will come out on top. Then, the 1st of October, the German Pro Championship in Essen, Germany. And then on the 3rd and 4th of November, we have the Team World Championship and the Individual World Championship, respectively, at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart. I do believe, I've been informed, all tickets are sold out. They did release some a few weeks ago because there was such a demand for tickets. It was insane, so they had to release a few more, but now I believe they are all sold out. So that is going to be one full. And, oh, excuse me, I've just been given new information. There are still tickets available.
Oh, awesome.
5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in checking it out, come to Stuttgart and join us at the Porsche Arena for what promises to be an absolutely fantastic World Championship. And there's still also live on demand or on demand viewing of the previous events from Poland, from Rotterdam, and so on and so forth. So there's still a lot of stuff you can see to catch up on the season, and still plenty to come in the season as we get the stage ready for our last 2 heats in the underhand chop. We're going to step away for a second, but we'll be back with the last 2 heats coming up. Or not. Okay, looks like we're going to go straight to the heats. No commercial break for us. And it is Nathan Simillon from France going up against Albert Kläger Jr. And Albert's been, as I said before in this earlier heat, in his single buck, he's been a real gem to watch on stage. There's a megaton of talent in that young man. I imagine we'll see him stepping up into the pro ranks in a few years.
Definitely.
Okay, gentlemen, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good start by Kläger. Simillon getting in there with some good power as well. He's got pace too, I like that. I love to see that Australian style of quick axe hits. Ooh, a big sticky one for Kläger there. French fans screaming allez, allez for Simillon. He moves over to the other side of his block. 1, 2, 3. Now 4 strokes ahead of Kläger. Kläger joining him on the second side. Has he gone deep enough on the first side to be able to get through there quickly on the second side? Simillon working hard. Will he get through it? Coming close to it now. Oh, there he goes. A personal best for Similion, 44.81. Klager should get a personal best here. No, he's not going to get a personal best. My mistake. He's been faster in the past. Cameraman Max in the back there. Hopefully that axe doesn't swing through and damage the camera. Oh, and Klager's got himself a struggling second side on this block. He's through. Yeah, it looks like it's through. It's 108.82. That is well off his personal best of 41 and change.
We have another check here. That foothold.
That looked okay,
you can
though.
See how close that is. Yeah, there's enough room there, but it's just.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
And there was a yes of relief from somebody in the audience, so good job. Yeah, Klager definitely didn't look too pleased with the cuts on that one, though, that he's had much better times in past. It's an incredible amount of DQs to start our day off, though, in this Springboard. That's just, tells you everything you need to know about how difficult that discipline is.
That's right.
Even the pros are DQing out in that one lately. Can't say I'd want to be 2 meters off the ground with a sharp axe in my hand standing on a toothpick, though.
Definitely can't have a fear of heights.
No. Albert doing a nice job on that second side. Just got a little bit slow as he got in a bit deeper. And is that by virtue of maybe a knot in there, or was he a bit tired after putting it all in on the first side?
There's many reasons. It can be that how the wood has grown. One side is a little harder than the other, and depending on how you've placed your log, if you're lucky enough, you have the soft side on your second side.
Lucky. Good to be lucky, lucky to be good. All right, Vincent Roussel coming up against Sean Usch. A couple of very good times, and Sean Usch, as you mentioned, was ready to go for the Rookie World Championships and didn't make it because of injury. His personal best, 21:37. Vincent Roussel will know this and hopefully will play up. Personal best for Vincent is 39:57.
Okay, gentlemen, athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And at this point, I think it's just a matter of technicality of Sean Usch cutting through. It doesn't have to be a really good time. He's had so many points because of his consistency through the rest of the competition that he's got this one locked down. You can see here.
Switch over already.
You can see those small adjustments going high, going low to get those chips out. Oh, there you go. 25:22, not a personal best, but he'll take that to the bank. That's still the fastest time of the day. Vincent Roussel almost there on his second side. You can hear that axe whistling through the air. There it is, and that is a cut through. Oh, maybe not, though. There's a lot of wood there that he might have a problem on that one piece. Is that going to be a problem?
Should be good. You kind of want that. You want a big piece left because that means you didn't do too many hits.
All right.
You just did the optimal.
Good stuff. 43:55 for Vincent Roussel. 24.86 after adjustment for Sean Usch. And that is a clear win in the overall standings for Sean Usch.
See how much wood coming out of there. So he went right straight to a point that's, you don't really want that because it makes it difficult on the other side.
There's that final driver for Sean. Good cut through. All right, so we will take a look at the underhand chop results and then the overall results. Not going to be much of a change in the overall, though. Sean Usch on top in the underhand with Jeff Hupsche in second place. And by virtue of his fan club, he probably got pushed along the way. And then Louis Guinier sitting in third place there in the underhand chop. Rounding out the underhand chop, we have the two Frenchmen, Vincent Roussel and Nathan Similion. among the top 5 there. Let's take a look at how that affects the overall rankings. In the top spot, no change there at all. Sean Usch is your winner today with 58 points. That is a solid performance across the board with 1, 2, 3, 4 discipline wins and a 3rd place in the Springboard. Jeffrey Hübscher in 2nd place, and Stefan Scheuch with a really nice showing in 3rd place. So 3 Swiss men and 1 Frenchman among the top 4, excuse me. Nathan Simillon in 4th place, but we know that our podium will be on top, Sean Usch with a great performance today for our rookies. All right, so there you have it. We have our event done and dusted here. We'll go back up onto the stage in a few seconds for the awards ceremony. Your thoughts on what we saw today for the rookies?
It was definitely a great competition. The Springboard, yes, that needs a lot of work, but these guys, most of them, this was their first competition.
Yeah.
So next time they'll be ready, and we'll get some better results in there.
Yeah, I mean, in the Springboard, we had 4 guys that logged scores in. The rest of them were disqualified because of going over the time. And again, we mentioned right off the top of the show, the Springboard is such a finicky discipline. There's so many things that need to happen perfectly for you to have even a halfway decent Springboard. But these are things that the institution of the single board Springboard for the rookies and the intermediates is going to help along the way for when they become pros. They're going to have a good, versed ability to be able to attack that Springboard with 2 boards and really do well.
That's right. They won't be nervous. They've got all those jitters out of the way already in the rookie league when they get there to the pros.
Yeah, and we should also mention there's a couple of intermediate guys in here. I kept saying rookie, 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 but there are a few intermediate guys. This is the Newcomer Cup here in Lucerne. So the talent is definitely there. We're going to see a few of these guys jump up to the pro ranks in the next couple of years. Albert, I mean, this kid, wow. He blows my mind. He's a solid young man at 16 years of age, looking great out there, doing a good job. And he has definitely the pedigree to move on. Now I've been told we're going to be moving back up onto the stage. We'll bring up all the athletes onto the stage and then have our awards ceremony with our top 3 guys. Oh, everybody gets a champagne bottle.
Oh,
and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. All right, that's going to be madness on stage. Okay. So Benny Fish and Bodhi Ormat on stage. We'll bring up our 12 athletes. Tim Fidele, then Louis Guinier, Vincent Roussel in 10th, 9th place belongs to Dominic Gigax. Then Florian Motier. Don't forget the handshake, Dom.
Don't think he wants his trophy.
No, I guess not.
They're absolutely beautiful.
Simon Farner, Florian Motier, Simon Farner. And then in 6th place, Romain Bertolet. 5th place goes to the young man, Albert Kleger Jr. I really like what I'm seeing with this young guy. Very impressed with him, and he's got himself a fan club out there. Awesome. He looks 12, it's insane, but he's an absolutely fantastic athlete. All right, and finally, 4th place, our Frenchman, Nathan Simillon. And now we await our top 3 athletes. And yeah, that is going to be a dog and pony show up there with all that champagne on stage. I've never seen that before. Alrighty then, it's going to be a big cleanup for the crew to get ready for the pros this afternoon.
Yes, indeed.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed our show so far. We had this man in studio earlier on after he achieved a world record in the Springboard. In 3rd place, the bronze medalist here today in Lucerne, Stefan Scheuch. Farner, he is a character. I like him. All right. So we mentioned that all day long this man has had himself a fan club in the audience, and you can hear them screaming now. Second place, our silver medalist today, Jeffrey Hübscher. And he is super pleased with that, and why shouldn't he be? A fantastic result. 44 points was what he ends up taking today, and that's enough for second place. He ignores bronze medal altogether, but he'll get a shake when he gets up on stage there.
That's right, same club, your buddies, train together.
Giving each other a hard time up there. Nice, well done. So there it is, the silver medalist today here at the Swiss Newcomer Cup 2023, Jeffrey Hübscher. And now, the man that takes the top spot, 58 points total, 4 wins out of 5 disciplines. Sean Oesch is your gold medalist here today. Power, precision, endurance, and skill all played a role for this man to take the top spot on the podium, and we'll definitely be seeing him competing in the Rookie World Championships in the future if he doesn't just jump straight up into the pro level.
That's right, we'll have to see about his age.
They can stay a rookie until they're 24 years old?
25.
25, okay. And once they reach 25 or have competed 2 times in a Rookie World Championship, then they have to take the step into the next level. All right, folks, here we go. So big congratulations to Sean Oesch, Jeffrey Hübscher, and Stefan Scheuch. Your podium here today at the Swiss Newcomer Cup 2023. Unfortunately, no champagne shower for us because the pros are coming on stage afterwards, but these guys will be able to enjoy a sip or two of their bubbly off stage, and maybe they'll do their own champagne shower in the grass off stage there. And that is all she wrote for our Swiss Newcomer Cup 2023. Final pictures on stage. Yeah, I thought that many bottles of champagne out there might be a bit of a disaster for our pros in an hour and a half's time. So yeah, we don't want to mess with these guys. And Dominic having fun with that. No, excuse me, 45 minutes time, so 1:30.
Yeah, it's a quick changeover. So.
Quick changeover. All right, final pictures on stage, and we'll get one more with the 3 guys up there. In the meantime, we'll come back into the studio and wish you all the best. We're waiting for Sean. Sean's going to come over for an interview. All right, that's nice. That's good that we're going to have that. He's still on stage, but I mean, you know, what can you say about Sean Oesch? Out of 5 disciplines, he had 4 wins, 12 points in each one of those, and a 3rd place in the. I mean, the only thing that was a 3rd place for him was the springboard. So the one weakness in his armor was that springboard, and you know, now they're having we can see out our windows here, they're having their champagne shower in the grass in front of the stage, and all the cameramen ran for the hills. So yes, they did do their champagne shower and got to enjoy it. And we'll have Sean Oesch in the studio here shortly, and we'll hear from him about that day that he's had today. Here he comes. Sean! Come on up and join us. You okay with English, or do you want to do German with Yolanda?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, Yolanda, run with it. Just bring this up here a little bit.
Ja, ist gut.
Und was meinst du, wie war der Tag heute?
Schlussendlich muss ich zufrieden sein, aber ja, ich bin nicht zufrieden mit den Zeiten. Einfach, das Resultat ist gut, aber es wäre mehr drin gelegen.
So I asked him how was his day. He said, well, it was good, but it wasn't good. So he's not too happy with the times. There definitely could have been some more, but a gold medal is a gold medal.
That it is. I have one question for you. Maybe Yolanda could translate with regards to the springboard. What do you got to do to make the springboard just that much better? I mean, clearly, you know, you've won the 4 other disciplines here. The springboard was the one thing that was a problem.
Ja, mehr trainieren.
More training, more training.
Mehr trainieren.
Okay.
Ja.
Aber sonst ist nichts anderes, was du gerade gesehen hast, was du
Nee,
sagst.
es ist einfach, ich habe mich einfach zu wenig vorbereitet, weil ich verletzt war oder gegen noch. Und durch das konnte ich einfach zu wenig Springboard oder allgemein trainieren. Und für das bin ich sicher zufrieden, was heute rausgekommen ist.
So due to the injury that he had, training wasn't possible, and that's where he says that's what he's got to get back to, so to make that springboard the way it should be.
All right, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sean Ush. Great job. Our gold medalists here today, ladies and gentlemen, at the rookie or in the Newcomer Cup here in Lucerne, Switzerland. A fantastic day with some amazing action, and the future is bright when the pros meet these guys and they make the next step to the next level. Thanks for joining us, Yolanda. Beauty having you in the studio with us again. Big congratulations to Sean. I'm Troy, and we're out till later on this afternoon for the pro competition. Take care, everybody, and ciao.